Okay, hello everyone. We are live. Welcome to tonight's show. This is Florence from IWIMRA. Tonight we've got Leah with us. So, hello, Leah Witchery. How are you?
Yeah, good. Excited.
Good. Welcome to our show. So, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Noongar people on the country in which I am. I'm a Darra Wutiti woman from Far North Queensland. And which are you, Leah? Where are you at and where are you from?
I'm on Quandamooka country in Wynnum in Brisbane, and I'm from the Kalkadoon and Mitakootie tribes in Cloncurry, Mount Isa.
Oh, deadly, lovely, nice and cool up there that way, or which way?
Yeah, it's getting cold. It's nice weather though.
Yeah, good one. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so excited to have you on to have a yarn with us, bit of yarns with us. And so, okay, starting. So tell us about Leah. Like, where do you work and why are you with IWIMRA for? And yeah, blessed.
So I work for Origin Energy in the subsurface data and applications team. So I look after all the data that comes in from our operations and put them in all to the applications that geos and engineers and geomodelers use to evaluate our assets and find gas really. I've been with Origin for almost 10 years in September. Prior to that, I was doing mineral exploration out in Mount Isa. I done a stint in WA, so I've always liked exploring and going on country. So yeah, no, that's what I've been doing. And also studying full time. So I'm doing my spatial degree. But yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, and where are you studying at? What university are you studying at?
I'm doing it online with USQ. This is my second last semester, so I'll be qualified.
And so, what will you be qualified in? What qualification?
Geographical Information Systems, so GIS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
what does that? And where does that fit in the whole, like the whole mining or gas industry?
yeah, so it can range from making maps to find where the ore bodies are for mineral to finding gas, managing geolocations for our assets. So yeah, no, it's very interesting. Yeah, but I find a passion on my other side of using that bit of knowledge that I'm gaining from my bachelor's degree to actually do a bit of land management for some Indigenous corporations. So yeah, I want to basically train them so they have some skill set as well. So yeah.
Yeah, wow. So 10 years with Origin so fast. And whereabouts you based? You're based in Brisbane at
Brisbane. Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just in the office really. I don't get out to site much because it's just basically drill rigs everywhere. There's no fun in the way that mineral exploration is, where you can go out and scout for locations to drill. More so with CSG is just basically doing all the modelling, predicting where a best well should be located in a field, and then they just go out and drill it for us. So there's heaps of people in the field, but it's my job's not really field based. So yeah.
So what inspired you? Oh, and quickly, so a shout out from Amanda Brown. Good to hear from you, Leah. And she's got a question there, but I'm going to ask you quickly just to jump back to what really inspired you to be in your role and within this sector, especially with Origin. Yeah, what inspired you to be in that position?
Yeah, so I was doing mineral exploration for probably 12 years, and obviously being a female, I was driven to want to succeed more in role that would allow me to move up with my skill set, and also hopefully being an Indigenous person, try and achieve that manager status and stuff like that in the near future. But yeah, I guess so. Moving away from the physical work and being in the office was a bit better for me. But yeah, everyone has their own choice if they like the field. I enjoyed it a lot when I was younger, but yeah, now I like the office.
You're getting too comfortable there.
Yeah. I do get back to the bush anyway in Cloncurry, so it's not like I miss out on being out there having a look around and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. And have you been home recently, or you kind of? When was the last time you were home?
When I was home, I think middle of last year.
Mm.
So yeah, it wasn't too. It was more to do with going back and doing capacity building for Aboriginal corporation out there.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I trained them, did some skill building and all that type of stuff. So yeah, no, I enjoy that type of work.
Yeah, that's
Self
awesome.
determination.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then how do you like measure that success? Because if it's a passion of yours, like how do you really start to say how do you start to balance both of them as well? Because are they related or are they like totally different? How do you balance that?
They're totally different, but I find I do my work very well. Some of the skills that I do pick up because I'm very self-taught in some of the things that I do, and from those skills I build, and I think, oh, this is an opportunity to actually use to build capacity with these organisations or help them better themselves, so they can go out and negotiate better. They can be more professional when they go out and talk to mining companies. So yeah, that's what I try to achieve to do to help them. So yeah, I guess my passion and my drive to actually do it on a regular basis just comes naturally. It's more or less being Aboriginal, you just want to help your mob. So it's like just another level of motivation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, and it's that motivation where you just like it keep gets you up early, it keeps you up late at night. It's just that drive to just want to do something good.
Yeah, it keeps me up really late at night, especially when my thinking is happening. So sometimes it's more or less, this is a good idea, and I wake myself up, and then I've got to work on it. So yeah, no, it comes naturally, I guess, and yeah, it's hard to balance it with a career and study, but it's definitely yeah, another level of motivation to do that.
Yeah, well done to you, and such discipline as well to be doing so many, like a few different things, much the same, but there's it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done to you. That's amazing. So we've got a couple of questions here. So Amanda Brown, hello, thank you for your question. Where is the NFP based? Non for profit.
NFP.
Is that a non for profit question, Amanda, for those organisations that she works for or that Leah works for? So we'll wait until he gets back to us with that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Letitia Faye, hello, my beautiful sisters. Hello. um, yeah, little old clonic curry
Mhm.
representing. Good question from Dusty. Hello, Dusty. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Leah. How have you been able to help your mob/community, etc., since joining into your field of work? FYI, can I say mob? Did we work that out? Well, Dustin's my mob, really. So yes, Dustin, you could say you're part of my mob because he's a very dear friend of mine. So yes. So that question: how have you been able to help your mob community since joining your field of work?
Yeah, so I guess that level of energy that I do have when it comes to wanting to do stuff for my people is just another level. I find that the skill set I have or I know, I can actually pass on and help those organisations. So I encourage a lot of other people, if they have skill sets that they think mean nothing, they might actually be able to contribute to those organisations in a way that may help them, especially building skills with them. So I took it upon myself to learn how to build websites, and the next thing I know, I'm offering that help to those organizations to make them look more professional with the website. So when people would try to get in contact with them, they'd have somewhere to go to contact them. So, everyone has these hidden skills and abilities that they can actually help their organizations or help other Indigenous people learn. So, yeah, I definitely encourage a lot of people to definitely upskill our mob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, what kind of services do they provide? These non-for-profits that you do help.
So they're native title organisations. So basically, it's a lot of caring for country and everything like that. So there's been no real assistance for them. They've just been given native title and handed on a platter, and they don't have the capability to know how to go out and get funding for their organisations, to build websites, to basically formulate how they're going to do all their letterheads and templates, or setting them up with Office 365 for working remotely, or even using Google Drive. So those are the types of things that I know how to do. So it's more or less, this is how you do it, and then pass those skill set on, because hopefully I can encourage other young kids that are in those organisations that want to work for them to be able to learn how to do that, and build up better skill set with the next generation.
So what have you found has been the biggest hurdle then? Because for me, like I could say, it's because that they live remotely, and that access to education, and that that practical access to education that's understandable. What have you identified as some of the hurdles with these organizations that are not in the bush, but remotely?
It's not really the unwillingness, but it's the for me, I'm only one person, so if I go out there, my whole time out there is devoted to helping one organisation or two. So I would encourage a lot of other people that actually live in those towns, in those areas, that could help those organisations, help them. Because, like I said, everyone's got a skill that they can pass on to these organisations to help them upskill. It's just finding the time, especially that communication barrier. But I've got a good working relationship with two native title organisations out near Mount Isa and Cloncurry, so it's working well right now. For me.
That's good. How are they going with COVID and all of the lockdowns and everything? Are they all good out there?
They've got nothing out there whatsoever. No reported cases. So they're a bit angry that they can't live life normally, even though they have no reported COVID out there at all. So they're adjusting to it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So Christina's just jumped on as well. Hey, Christina. Hey, Sister Leah. Your self-determination to learn and grow is amazing. So you had the pleasure of meeting Christina last year, which was this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
So Leah was our winner for our UN competition that we held this year. So IWIMRA, we were heading over to New York for the UN CSW, so the Commission on the Status of Women. So Leah was lucky enough to be selected by our amazing judges for her answer, for her to come along and to really experience that. So it's so lovely to speak to you, and I'm so excited for us to go there whenever that's all sorted. So that will be exciting. So how did it feel when you found out that you won the competition?
Oh my God, it was the funniest story. So I had seen it on Facebook and the competition. I'm like, must have been around about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, oh, okay, have a go, have a crack, put something in. I put it in, out of my heart. I just spoke the truth. And when it was announced, my friend at work Skyped me and she goes, oh, can I come with you? I'm like, where am I going? She goes, oh, can I come with you? I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to get seconded to another role. No, you won a competition. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, you won the competition to New York. And I'm like, oh my God. And that's when I got in contact with you guys. I'm like, oh, this can't be happening. Yeah, it was so funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations so much. Like, the judges that we had are amazing people, and they're very influential and inspirational to us as well, and from the mining sector. So it was really, I loved it that they chose your prize as well. So not prize, but your answer. Sorry.
Yeah. My manager said, what did you say in your answer? I'm like, I can't remember.
No, it was really good, and really, like I was saying before, like, I'm so grateful for your employers as well. Like, they're such strong supporters of you and your professional development and Indigenous engagement. So it was really nice to bring that story to light and continue to as well when we too start to travel. So I was going to read a couple of these comments here as well. So Christina did doing some emojis there. Nicole Brown, so she's deadly. She's part of our lead team for our UN project. So very exciting. Yeah, so she was trying to call you to let you know there was no answer. We were all so excited.
It was on a Sunday.
and Letitia as well. So because I do work with Letitia, and I had to tell her all about it because we yarn a lot. And she was like, I was so excited when I heard, when she knew it was you. She's like, oh my god, it's my cousin. I was like, really? So, knows everyone, hey. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So awesome. So I got a question here as well from Dusty. So how quickly do you think the government is closing the gap with education, employment, and Indigenous affairs? Do you have another idea on how to close the gap faster?
No really ideas, I guess. The lack of engagement with Indigenous people is the one thing that's lacking, It's all about self-determination for us and finding solutions that fit us. And that's just not in closing the gap, but that's in life for all Indigenous people, because we need to feel that we're part of society and we're making choices and decisions for ourselves and not having bureaucrats tell us how we should be living our life or what's best for us. So, it hasn't worked for 200 years. So how about give us a crack and see how we go? So I think that may help close the gap even faster. But there's definitely good initiatives out there that are not even led by the government, but in the non-profit that is actually doing a lot for closing the gap itself. So yeah, that's just an example of how innovative Indigenous people are with doing things that government can't even think about doing. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with that as well, there is so many facets to this question, and it's definitely something that we've recognized that through COVID and all the partnerships that we are now starting to have with industry and government. So for us now, what I feel like it's a really good opportunity to start to really flex these relationships and see how we can work best together. Because I'm all about working together. I think it's more impactful if we do work together. So it's really about having that clear communication channel and understanding each other's points of view and actually working with that. So
yeah, I think that's one of the good things working for Origin too, is that understanding of building that relationship with Indigenous people, and being part of kind of like the in crowd when it comes to Indigenous issues with Origin, is that I can give some guidance and input how they should do things and what sort of approach they can take, especially when it comes to education. I've basically reached out to them and said that one of the deliverables that we should be trying to achieve is engaging with young kids that are in school to go out and do trades or traineeships, and just trying to get them fast tracked from school into university and everything like that. So yeah, making Indigenous people aware that there are jobs in the industry, not only just petroleum but also mineral.
Yeah, agree. And it's about having that long-term perspective as well, like really understand that, you go through a role, you start to do things, and it takes a couple of years, and then you step into a university role as well, and what that means for your own professional development. So I think really having that understanding of your pathway at the very beginning helps you stay committed. Because even though we've got a lot of things happening in the house and outside of work, it does help you to come to work and keep committed to your own career as well. So we spoke about this before. You are in CSG, coal seam gas.
Yes.
The question, what you been working for the mob for? Like that question. Why you working in your industry? How do you respond to
that? When I get asked by other Indigenous people and the impact that we have on the environment.
A few times, eh?
Sorry?
You've been asked a few times.
Yeah, I guess there's being an Indigenous person and exploiting the country for its minerals, it's always gonna have some impact on you personally if you're an Indigenous person and how you feel about it. It was a struggle for me at the beginning, but it's more or less the acceptance that this industry is going to exist. So, as long as you're in the game with it, you can actually have a lot of impact how things are done properly. And that's why I not only do work for Origin, but I do that capacity building with organisations, especially in the mineral province of Mount Isa, to actually help build capacity so they know how to do things better, like managing their country, knowing there are laws and legislation when it comes to cultural heritage sites, how they can protect them. So, if you're not in the industry, you don't know what they're doing to help set your people up either. So, but yeah, no, it's always a difficult thing to think about. So yeah, I guess we all have to survive. We all have to earn income and create that intergenerational wealth for us as Indigenous people, because that's something we do lack. And also be a role model to other younger people. So, yeah, if they can see you can do it, they'll be encouraged and inspired to do it themselves. And hopefully, one day I can be a mentor to some younger kids to get them up the chain as well.
Definitely, I agree. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and so you're so right as well. Industry is governed by a lot of restrictions, like rules and regulations, and it's really about understanding that as well. There is that healthy partnership there, and there is opportunity to engage and manage country and really be part of that solution. So it's really about understanding and that education piece there as well.
Yes.
Cool. So some questions as well. So Letitia, beautiful response, Leah, to one of your questions. So thank you. So Ya is on. So thank you for joining us again, Ya. Nice to hear from you again. So her comment is, healing comes from doing things our way, learning from our elders, practicing tradition and law that has been tried and tested over generations, having a voice and speaking to matters of the heart and how we work as a people. Having people like you, Sister Leah, will only help us move forward. It's so inspiring to see that you are giving back to community and more importantly, caring for country.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I agree. And it is that as well. You do have the opportunity to share the work that you do on country and help to build that capacity, which is good. So question from Letitia. What are some of the things that have helped you to stay on track with your work? With your personal goals and achievements, and what advice would you give to others on a similar journey?
I guess it's that motivation to want to make a change, because if I'm not the one that's willing to do it, then there's no one else that's going to do it that would inspire the rest of my family, and hopefully inspire other young kids. So, we always have to try and do better in life to encourage other kids to want to try and achieve the same things. What advice would I give to others on a similar journey? Don't always think that you know what you want to do when you grow up, because I spent 12 years doing just hard labor in the bush, doing it was bad, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a geologist, and I realized I didn't.
Why?
And
What's so bad about being a geologist?
I wanted to earn more money.
Oh, okay.
No, I wanted an office job. So I had a passion for basically data and all that type of stuff. So I was moving towards that, and I realized that the geology led me to geographical information systems. So basically all the mapping and all that type of stuff. And then when I seen that, that's when I started my journey of studying. It's a struggle. I always need to motivate myself, but being at Origin and having really good mentors, and Origin being supportive of my study, it like takes me to another level. Plus, if I don't do it, how am I ever gonna encourage other Indigenous kids to want to do something better as well? So, yeah.
That's awesome. So mentoring as well. So you spoke about your mentors. What do you like about having a mentor?
So I'm in between mentors at the moment. But for the past 9 years, I worked with a really good colleague, and he taught me everything I know. So, it's been really, really good to have someone to mentor you through, to teach you things, because then you realize that you can surpass them to go on to something else, to a next level. And that's always exciting to know that you're ready to just do what you need to do because you believe in yourself and you believe in your skills. And then, just basically go up to the next level so you can build those skill set, really. Yeah. But it's always good to find a mentor, on a personal level, on a career level, because sometimes being an Indigenous person's hard, especially when you work in an industry where there's not a lot of other Indigenous people. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. And we were talking about NAIDOC Week before as well. So what was your experience with NAIDOC Week and bringing that cultural safety into your workplace?
Yeah, so I'd always been an introvert in origin. I didn't really want people to know who I was, being an Indigenous person. And I guess a lot of people can relate to that. If you're in an industry where there's a large majority of non-Indigenous, it makes you fearful for wanting to be and express yourself. But being 8-9 years, I thought, well, it's time now to make a change, because if I don't, then we're going to continue down the path of Origin being a bit naive when it comes to Indigenous issues, especially employment and everything like that. So they had asked me to do a welcome to country. And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. I'll just do a welcome to country. And then the next week it was, oh, can you tell us your life story? I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect this. So it turned out to be a 45-minute presentation of my life and my journey. And so what I thought I would do, instead of telling my story, because sometimes it just, you hear everyone's life story all the time, I brought the statistics into it. So basically, being an Indigenous person, going to a boarding school where there's all non-Indigenous girls, being a statistic, getting nothing out of the education, leaving school, going back on country, just living on country, experiencing those sorts of things that I missed when I was away at boarding school, to, experiencing suicide, to going a next level of, having my skills to help my Indigenous community. I just told my story, and it was very well received. I had a lot of people for the next probably month or so come up and thank me, because a lot of them didn't really know, and they use a lot of Google to give them answers. And I just said, no, that's probably not the best resource. You should be asking Indigenous people these questions, because they may be hard questions for us, but at least we tell the truth and we tell you what it means to us, rather than reading it on Google or where other resources where it's not actually validated by the Indigenous community sometimes how these things impact us. So it's really good. So I'm involved every year with NAIDOC Origin now. I'm like the Indigenous expert.
Oh, it's good though, because I think for bigger companies as well, and companies in general, like they're really starting to want to learn more in a culturally safe manner. So it is nice that you have that trust and that openness there to ask those questions, because it makes it culturally safe for everybody.
Yeah, after I did that, I didn't know that I started a chain reaction. And since then, I've had a lot of Indigenous people with Origin have the courage to speak up and tell their stories. And so it's good. People didn't want to be identified as Indigenous, but after I did that, I felt that, I opened that door for people to feel more comfortable in accepting who they are in an industry that's non-Indigenous. So I was very excited about that. So I'm looking forward to hopefully this NAIDOC time having someone else within Origin tell their story as well, because everyone has a story to tell, and everyone has different lived experiences. So
Agree. And even with that as well, like you said before, like everyone, like especially being in your sector or your your industry where there's Indigenous people that are there, we're challenged by the reasons that we're in the industry. So you've got that extra pressure on your own mental mental wellness plus your identity as well. Like you're really questioning your cultural obligations when you're working in this industry. So you do need that support to help us talk a bit more about it and a bit more openly and comfortably. So
yeah.
Do you have a network as well within your company or not?
Yeah, so we established an Indigenous employee network probably before I'd done I think it was before I'd done the presentation. So we were growing bigger and faster, and it's looking very promising because now we're actually engaged and we are actually giving feedback to the organisation. It's always better to have those types of networks with Indigenous people help guide these businesses to the deliverables that are set when it comes to the wrap plans that we have, because it's no better feeling if you have someone else telling you, oh, these are the deliverables. And by the way, we haven't really engaged with our Indigenous staff. So yeah, Origin's made really headways with that, with having that Indigenous employee network. So yeah, no, it's from people from the field and from the office. So yeah, no, it's going really, really good.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well done. That's deadly. That's good. Yep, people saying hello, thank you. So Sherry Latoya,
Yeah, that's my sister.
Oh, deadly.
And my auntie.
Oh. Well, biggest mama here. That's good.
Yeah.
Kelly Hart, great work, Leah. Oh, that's really lovely. So what else were we talking about before? So we talked about the UN stuff. We talked about you being in the industry as well. So tell me about so you're into the data space. So what advice would you have for people, children, or people that are not children, students, but also like other women that are in our industry that want to learn more about the work that you do? What advice would you have for them in terms of study or experience?
We're in a digital world right now, so basically data is there. There's a big thirst for data scientists, and it's definitely a skill that is for the future. It's definitely something we're studying. It's very interesting. If people were to get involved in it, they'd find that it can benefit our mob as well, because over the history, all our information's out there from books, and when it comes to cultural stuff as well, like song lines and storylines and everything like that. Bringing all that data together adds wealth for us. So when it comes to the data space, it's a benefit. So yeah, it's really good skill to have. I'd encourage a lot of people to do it, especially Indigenous people, because what I realise is that we think outside the box a lot rather than inside the box. We challenge the status quo, and we always challenge what people think. And that's the thing with me at work, is that I don't put myself in a little box to what people would say, oh, this is how it should be. I always challenge that, and it's always good to actively think bigger and better. So yeah, no, I enjoy the challenge. It's a bit daunting and scaring because it's a lot of programming and all that type of stuff, but I guess once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy. But it's definitely a career for the future. So, and even right now, you'll see people like BHP and Rio Tinto always looking for people to add to their data team, especially when it comes to data sciences. So, yeah, no, it's really, really good. It's challenging, and definitely, yeah, a job for the future.
So what would be like an entry course to get into data science then?
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of jobs out there for those areas. when you talk about an entry level, I started off as a technical assistant. So that was basically joining Origin, putting data into databases, data entry. If you do have the time and have the thirst to want to learn how to do it, skills like SQL and Python are definitely something that potential businesses will seek out for people. Also innovation as well. Like if you can find ways to do things differently, it's always a good benefit on your skill set to sell yourself in a way that is set above anybody else. But yeah, there's no real way of entry into the business in the data science area, I guess. But definitely self-learning. There's always courses online, diplomas, and if you do. If you do set yourself a goal to do a diploma, then you can always go on to a bachelor's degree. You shouldn't feel that, if doing a diploma makes you less than, because I did a diploma first and I cut off at least a year and a half of my bachelor's, and it was less intensive, and then I went on to my bachelor's. So it's always thinking of better ways to do things rather than trying to just go gun-ho and drop out of doing those types of things like your bachelor's. But yeah.
That's awesome. So who inspired you, or what inspires you to be in this field? Because you're sitting here saying data science, and all I'm thinking in my head is like numbers and like rockets, and I was just like, oh my god. So what inspired you to be in this field?
I have no idea. I think I just had a thirst for learning. I always teach myself different things. I've always I have no idea. I was just more inclined to move towards it because I seen that skill set there that I could help. Basically, I'm driven by wanting to help my people. I did a lot of research when it comes to native title, doing historical research, genealogy for my mob's native title claim and my grandmother's. And basically, it allowed me to open my eyes up to how much information is out there just in terms of genealogy for Aboriginal people, and collating all that information together, kind of like, oh, this is pretty awesome. But I didn't want to do anthropology. So what I ended up doing was, I'd like to think I like geology a bit, and I thought, oh, well, what better way than to do mapping? And then mapping led into the data science area and correlating all this data together. And yeah, I quite enjoy it. And I guess that's what made me do what I do.
That's amazing. That's really good. And like you said, it is interesting how when you start to break it down into, about genealogy, because, genealogy is pretty, that's understandable, that's familiar. And then you start to move into mapping, and then start to move into, data science stuff. So that's really cool. And so professional development wise as well, like where would you see that take you within the organization?
I'd like to move into more of the so I'm in subsurface applications, so I take care of databases that have all our data inside, but I'd like to move towards more the data science and analysis and interpretation, but I don't want to limit myself to just that. I want to be able to explore my opportunities with growing my skill set even larger, because if I do that, I can actually use those skill set to help my community, and that's what really drives me to want to learn more stuff. I don't want to be limited by just going to a 9-to-5 job and just doing the same thing over and over again. So, like I spoke about, wanting to find out how to build a website. I did that in my free time over the weekend, and then I was like, to my cousin that is the administrator in the native title claim out near Cloncurry, I said, oh, do you want a website? And that was it. So I learned how to build a website in like a weekend, and the next minute I know I'm offering assistance to be able to help an organization become more professional with the website. So yeah, just those types of things. I don't want to limit myself to just being known as one thing in a small group, like, oh, she's a data science professional or something like that. I want to expand even bigger. So yeah.
Love it. What would be your most ideal job, career, passion, space? What would that be?
Oh, I'd want to work for myself. I would love to just go around all around Australia and just build capacity with Aboriginal organisations. I honestly would want to do that for the rest of my life, because I believe if I'm able to do that and build capacity, Indigenous people would be smarter, brighter, and they would be able to lead this country in the future. Because just for people to not understand that Indigenous people are friggin' smart is beyond me, because some little fellas out there, if they were given the opportunity like every other person, they would just take off. So I would literally do that for the rest of my life if I could, because I'd love to go see as much country as I can and see as many other black fellas as I can.
So politics is not in that thing.
I did tell my sister that probably when I'm in my 50s, I might move back to Cloncurry and run for mayor, but I don't think people would be able to think outside the box like I do. So, but yeah, anywhere I could basically help Indigenous people, especially, you know, when it comes to lateral violence, that's the big issue. And, you know, if we can educate other Indigenous people about lateral violence, they would start to understand that we could all work together without being harming one another in progressing. So yeah, no, that's something I've always wanted to do, is just basically make Indigenous people work together so they can have a better future.
Amazing. That's good. And it comes back down really to healing and, identity and all of that as well. And, when you're talking about building capacity and working together, it's really, for me, what I found is, building that platform to communicate, because there are a lot of, like you said, amazing, smart people there that are passionate, and, and there are solutions there. It's just really about joining that together in a really like harmonious way, or really safe way.
Yeah. It shouldn't matter whose mob you're from, where you're from. If you work together, you can actually try and achieve stuff. And at the end of the day, native title's just there as something that the government's put in place, but we all benefit if we're working together to have a better future when it comes to education and careers. And the only way we can have careers in some of these remote areas is basically being on the game with these mining companies, negotiating for proper employment and not traineeships that only last for 12 or 6 months. So, that's why capacity building to negotiate better for our people is the prime number one opportunity to make a difference, because organizations get money from agreements, they get employment, and they can send their kids to school to get a proper education.
So it's about starting at the very beginning and making sure that we've got that education piece down pat.
Really. Yeah. Yeah, it all comes back to professionalism as well. If mining companies know that they can't stuff around with you because you're a professional and you handle yourself well and you know how to negotiate because you have the capacity building already done, they will not stuff around with you. They will negotiate better with you and work in partnership. And that's from anything from caring from country to paying for scholarships for your mob. So yeah, if you can handle yourself better and have that capacity to do your business properly, sky's the limit.
Definitely agree. So a couple of comments here as well. Ya wants you to build her a website, but gammon. So Carolina, hello from Chile. Christina, you got your sister here, so she'll be like with some of that Spanish there too. Espanol. So we met some amazing people when we went to Latin America. So I'm so glad that you can join us tonight, Carolina. So thinking about, so we've got 15 minutes left to go. So really thinking about like where you are and moving forward, how do you really start to, the network that you've got within your company now, how you're really starting to build that cultural safety with them, and then start to share each other's stories as well. What are you trying to do to make it a safe space to come to work for?
Yeah, so with the Indigenous Employee Network within Origin, we have link ups, I think every month we have just Skype meetings and everything like that, and then we at least try to meet in person everyone from all around Australia. We have people in the NT to meet up somewhere in a capital city and do a 3-day engagement with each other, and that's from talking about things that Origin's doing well, probably not doing well, what we could be doing, how we drive Origin to do stuff proper or proper better if it's not working, and also welcoming other people that have joined the network and making them feel safe, because at the end of the day we know some people don't have the confidence to be I guess, what would you say? Don't want to be identified in the business, but we just strive to try and get them to open up. So yeah, it's not something that you should be embarrassed about, really. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty deadly.
Yeah. And has that helped though? Like since you've started your network, have you found like more people have started to identify and feel more comfortable with being at work and saying, talking about their identity?
Well, on a personal level, for me, it's good because I could be more myself. When you're in a flash business and you talk all flash and you don't talk your lingo, and when you see other black person, you just let it go. So it's like, so you just be who you are. But it's a good opportunity because every year it comes around, I tell people, ask me the hard questions. I want you to ask me them. I don't want you to be predicting or thinking or Googling what the answers are. Because at the end of the day, I'm a resource. Ask me or ask any other Indigenous person because they will tell you. So, but yeah, no, other than that, the employee network's really, really good. I've participated in being part of the selection panel to get the new cultural learning done online for our online learning. So yeah, it's really good to feel that I have input into Origin and how things can change, especially when it comes to online learning for for non-Indigenous people. So that resource can actually educate them before they go out to areas where we operate and engage with Indigenous people out there, because we do have areas where there are Indigenous people employed in the field. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I like Origin. I love it. They're doing pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. And every time we've engaged with them, they've been really, supportive of yourself and the network and just other people that are in the business as well. So it's really good to have that that understanding and that transparency as well. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So makeup with this year, I know, it is delayed, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer. So people who want to come in and learn a little bit more about what you do, and I guess I asked this before around professional development there as well. So is there anything else out there? So like in terms of mentoring, and you said you had a number of mentors, who would be someone that you'd really aspire to be in terms of like someone that's your idol? Anyone?
Like my grandmother.
Oh.
Yeah, she's pretty deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she opened up an Indigenous corporation in Cloncurry called Kutla. It had the first Indigenous partnership with the bulk haulage company in Cloncurry for Ernest Henry Mine with shipping the ore body. She was awarded the Order of Australia. So she was the chairman on the board of Aboriginal hostels for a very long time. So yeah, all her stuff is to do with Indigenous things. So yeah, I guess even though I have a professional career, I always think of things that will help my people. And I may not be very proactive when it comes to, being in with the activists or anything like that, but I feel my skills are more set towards Indigenous corporations, helping them capacity build and self-determination, rather than being on a soapbox trying to educate or fight against Indigenous injustices. So mine's all just silence behind capacity building, because I want to feel that these organisations can be better. And we don't see things on newspapers saying, someone's come into an organisation and stole $3 million of Aboriginal money. I don't want to see that anymore, and I'm sure a lot of other people don't either. So, that's what I inspire to be, is like my grandmother, trying to do better for Indigenous people. Yeah.
That's so amazing. So what do you think about First Nation media as well? So I know, I've been thinking about that like the last couple of days around First Nation media. How do you think that could help in terms of voicing these stories and starting to give people that platform to share?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for younger kids or younger people to be involved, because it just gives them the voice that they need to express themselves. It's a really good thing for people to do that. Yeah, I think it's just an opportunity for people to do that, because some people just have no way of being able to communicate their concerns and everything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's just an interesting point that you just said, because you're saying that you're an introvert and you really like to do things behind the scenes, but then if First Nations media was also an option to help to communicate, how effective would that be as well, in terms of keeping things transparent in that way?
Yeah, it's always good to be transparent. All Indigenous people should be transparent, because if you don't, there's always these hidden corners where stuff can be misconstrued, and then you have this stuff like lateral violence, where other Aboriginal people hate on you and everything like that. So to be more transparent helps our mob, and to be freely giving of skills and information allows and encourages other young people to learn and want to do better things. So keeping your talent to yourself shouldn't happen. It should be something that's shared. And especially with our mob, we need to share, because if we don't, no one else is going to do it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, good. And so heading off next year, so we're going, whenever we get to go there to the UN and to New York, what are you looking forward to the most?
Oh, I told my sister, I said, I cannot wait to go and meet other Indigenous people. That is the one thing I want to do. I just to be engaged and to meet other people. Like, I love my culture, but to experience other people's culture is just something that's so phenomenal that you can't even express it to other people, how the feeling of seeing that stuff and being engaged with people, how that incites you as an Indigenous person, because we're so separated by oceans. To be able to do that stuff. Like, I was really sad. I wasn't sad about going to the UN. I was more sad about, I don't get it to see any Indigenous performances. Like, oh my God, I'm more devastated about that. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. And there's 10,000 people that attend, that attended in previous years. So I don't know how COVID's going to really change that. But yeah, it's just a fusion of so much culture that's there. It is amazing. It really is.
Yep.
And Nicole really organised some amazing cultural events as well for us to have taken part in this year. So it is about going there, engaging with the local people, and welcome to country, and all of experience their culture, and then for us to experience that as well. So
yeah.
So it'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And so if you could bring someone along, who would it be?
I don't know if I love my family that much.
When they are supporting you tonight, hello to you, family, strongly supporting.
Yeah. They'll text me later. That's what they'll do. They'll take me with you. I know my sister wants to come, but then she wants to bring my other sister, my nephew. I'm like, oh God.
Do you have a big family? How big's your mom?
My extended family's big. We got a big family. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But my immediate family, I got 2 younger sisters and a little nephew. So yeah.
Oh, good. Amazing role
Like,
model as well.
hey.
Amazing role model for you to be for them, so strong and passionate. Like, I love it. I think it's so amazing.
Yeah, so my sister tells my nephew, "Oh, your auntie's a scientist," and he's like, "Ah." And I said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "Oh, a scientist." I'm like, "Oh, yes."
Yes, that's cool. That's awesome. What industry are your siblings in? Your sisters in?
One's in banking, the other one does consulting for me. So she helps me a lot with building websites and all that type of stuff. And she's into a lot of kind of like graphics design and everything like that. So she helps me design the website look and feel. So she comes up with the artwork and everything like that. So yeah, she's really deadly at that. Obviously, I pay her.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've got a big mob family as well. I've got 7 siblings, and I've got a brother who's in health. And we actually don't it's funny because we don't agree on a lot of things with where the industry that I work in, that we work in. So it's always like a robust conversation, and we always just end up just agreeing to disagree. So
yeah,
it is
my
good.
job pays for them to come down for holidays.
Yeah, true. No, that is good, and I'm so excited to hear that your nephew seeing you as that role model as well, and saying I want to be a scientist, because we definitely need more of them.
Yeah, dream big. Hey, that's what we want our mob to do.
Yeah, definitely. So just really thinking about like how we're wrapping up and stuff now. Is there anything else that you wanted to say to your mob out there, or shout out to your workplace, or your network, all of that? What any last words that you'd like to share?
I guess I'd probably just reiterate again that, if you have skills and you have mob on country or wherever else, I really applaud you to teach them stuff, encourage them how to do stuff, encourage them in their life choices as well, because some people may be lost in what they want to do with their career or their life. But yeah, just try and be there for them, because it's really difficult being an Indigenous person, because you apply for so many jobs and you get hit back, and then you're like, oh, why do I keep applying? But you get better, and you learn how to conduct yourself when it comes to interviews, or even professionally writing your resumes and everything like that. So don't just accept if you apply for one job and you get knocked back. There's going to be other ones. I literally can attest to that, because I was knocked back so many times, and with this job with Origin, I was successful. They believed that I had the confidence that I needed and the levels of skill to do the job. So yeah, just always be there for your mob, support them, and encourage them, really, because that's what they need. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and really like having that confidence in yourself as well, and to also be proud of yourself and your achievements, because you find as well, like you said, with lateral violence, when you start to progress with your career and people be like, oh, look at her, and you have those conversations and people start to judge you about where you are now. Like, how did you kind of deal with that initially?
It was a bit difficult, but at the end of the day, when you show, I guess, when you show respect to them, that they may not understand how you got there, and they may think that you're better than them, but if you have that level of wanting to encourage someone, you can actually encourage them, and they'll just change their whole point of view on you, because you want them to succeed like you do. Because as if other Indigenous people are coming up like you, then there's no stopping us, really. So people just, even though there's lateral violence, you just need to be on them, encourage them, show them that they're loved and they are Indigenous and you care about them, regardless if they don't like you or not. And yeah, you'll see them change, really, for the better.
Agree. Thank you so much for tonight.
Yeah.
It's been so good yarning to you. I can't wait to see you in person.
It's going to be deadly.
Yeah, can't wait to travel with you and, you know, start to go and explore over there and just to connect with other people as well, other Indigenous people. So thank you again. So thank you to Leah. She's been on here yarning with us about her role as a data scientist or aspiring data scientist, but amazing, deadly sister. So thank you for joining us tonight, everyone. And we'll see you again soon.
See you guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.